Chapter 1441. Benjamin and Arissa turned to the doctor, their eyes filled with anxiety. The doctor announced, "You're expecting quadruplets. We didn't see it clearly last time, but now it's very clear. Look here." Arissa's mind was buzzing. She was still in shock. "I'm expecting multiples again." Benjamin was overjoyed. He could see 4 tiny dots on the screen. "Can you tell if they're boys or girls?" Benjamin asked. The doctor paused for a moment. Considering they already had 6 children, he didn't pay much attention to it. At this point, it's not discernible. It will take some time before it becomes clear. Upon hearing Benjamin's words, Arissa came back to her senses and looked at him. "The hospital has a policy against discussing this. Why are you making it difficult for the doctor? Regardless of whether they're boys or girls, isn't it the same? Don't tell me you don't like them." "No, I was just curious." In fact, Benjamin was hoping for girls. There was only one little girl at home, and he hoped that the children they were expecting would be daughters, so the little girl would have sisters to keep her company. Arissa glanced at him. She could guess what was on his mind. "Doctor, are they all healthy?" Arissa sought advice from the doctor. Her body had been weakened following her first pregnancy, making subsequent conception challenging. The news of carrying multiple children in her second pregnancy was an unexpected surprise. "Everything seems fine for now, but you're weak, so you need to be extra careful. Carrying multiples is more strenuous, so if you feel unwell, come in for a checkup immediately," the doctor advised her. After all, carrying multiples is not like carrying a single child. Each additional child doubles the risk. "Thank you, doctor." Arissa touched her belly, her face beaming with joy. "Thank you, honey." Benjamin patted her head and bent down to plant a kiss on her forehead. Arissa's cheeks flushed. She gave him a slight push, then turned to the doctor and asked, "Doctor, there's no need for any other tests, right?" "Yes, just come in for regular prenatal checkups," the doctor said as he took a tissue to wipe off the ultrasound gel from her belly. "All right." Arissa took the tissue to wipe it herself. "Allow me," Benjamin offered. He assisted her in wiping her belly and adjusting her clothes, then helped her to sit up. "I'll carry you." Benjamin lifted her horizontally and walked out of the examination room. Hearing the doctor mention that the report was almost ready, he instructed Gavin to go in and get it. "Mommy, you're out. Is the baby okay?" the little ones asked one after another, their eyes wide as they stared at them. Arissa said with a smile, "Yes. There are 4 of them." "What?" the 5 little ones exclaimed in surprise, their mouths wide open. "Mommy, are you saying you're carrying 4 more boys?" Zachary stared at her belly. Arissa nodded. "Yes. That's what the doctor just saw. They must be girls. We're going to have 4 more little sisters." Jasper, with a gleeful smile, took Jess's hand. "Jessie, you're going to be a big sister." Jessie was also very happy. "Mommy, when will my little sisters come out?" "It's still several months away, and they're not necessarily girls." Arissa responded with a smile. Not just Benjamin, but the other children were also hoping for baby sisters. She didn't give it much thought. Whether it was a son or a daughter, it was all the same to her. Benjamin said confidently, "They must be girls." Arissa was rendered speechless. "It could be both." Oliver chuckled. "Whether they're boys or girls, I'll love them all." Tim smiled. Arissa said, "Yes, it's the same whether they're boys or girls." "Mommy, I've got the report. Is this my little brother?" "Why are there 4 little beans?" Gavin asked, holding the report with a puzzled look. Arissa and Benjamin exchanged glances, surprised that their son knew how to read the report. Chapter 1442. Oliver was filled with joy as he relayed the news to Gavin. "Mommy just told us that there are 4 babies in her belly." Gavin's eyes lit up as he looked at Arissa and Benjamin. "Really?" The couple nodded in unison, and Arissa responded with a smile, "Yes, but we still don't know if they are boys or girls." "Hee hee, whether they're boys or girls, I'll love them all the same." "Mommy, this is going to be even harder for you now. You must take care of yourself and not overwork." Gavin, beaming with joy, advised Arissa like a little adult, holding on to the report with great affection. Tim, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse all gathered around to look at the report. He's so tiny. Were we also like this when we were in Mommy's belly? I suppose so. We all grow up from being little, right? I wonder if they will look the same as us. Why don't they have eyes or noses? The 6 little ones were staring intently at the result, chattering away. Orissa couldn't help but chuckle at their conversation. They haven't developed eyes and noses yet, but give it some time and you'll be able to see them. When she was pregnant with them before, she didn't have the chance to see what they looked like in her belly. Deep down, she felt quite regretful. She gazed at the report in the children's grasp, a wave of motherly happiness washing over her, leading to a slight prickling sensation in her nose. Benjamin looked at the joyful expressions of the children, a slight smile playing on his lips. Then, seeing Orissa looking somewhat preoccupied, he asked softly, "What's the matter?" Orissa looked at him and whispered, "I never got to see what they looked like when they were in my belly. After giving birth to them, she couldn't even remember how many she had. Every time she thought about it, she felt as if her heart was being pricked by a needle." Benjamin also felt a pang of regret in his heart. In the future, when you look at these photos, you'll be able to imagine what they looked like inside your belly. Orissa nodded. That was the only way. Benjamin held her a bit tighter, then turned around and left the examination room. Seeing that the children were still engrossed in the report, Orissa called out, "Sweethearts, let's go." "Mommy, wait for us." The 6 little ones suddenly realized the couple had gone too far and hurriedly ran to catch up. Orissa smiled, looking at the 6 children, her heart filled with a sense of happiness. "Mommy, once the babies are born, we'll help you take care of them. You just need to focus on getting better," Gavin joyfully said to her. He had already started planning how to take care of the babies. Orissa was brimming with happiness. "Great." The 6 little ones looked at each other with sheer joy. "When the time comes, we'll change diapers for our younger siblings, feed them, and lull them to sleep. Once I master combat arts, I'll teach them too, so they can protect themselves," Tim said with a smile. "I'll lead them to explore." Jasper burst into hearty laughter. Oliver tapped his head and reprimanded, "Of all the things you could teach, why are you only thinking about playing games with your younger siblings?" Jasper touched his head and retorted, "You taught me how to play games too. I learned this from you. We are not the same." Oliver glared at him. "You're such a hypocrite," Jasper muttered under his breath. Oliver gave him a sideways glance. "Your allowance is cut off this month." Jasper looked visibly upset. Gavin, Tim, and Zachary looked at them with a smile. Jasper was always crushed by Oliver. After all, who could argue when Oliver held the financial power? Orissa couldn't help but laugh and said to Jasper, "The babies are still young. They shouldn't play with phones as it can harm their eyes. You should teach them to read books instead." Jasper glanced at Orissa and grumbled, "They are always playing games, but it doesn't seem to affect their studies." "Gaming too much can interfere with your studies," Jessie said in her piping voice, causing everyone to suppress their laughter. "You know gaming isn't good for you. So why don't you focus on your studies?" Jasper said with a pout. "I'm hopeless." Jessie readily admitted her shortcomings. Everyone did not know what to say. Chapter 1443. Let's go to the examination room. Orissa noticed that Benjamin was about to carry her and quickly reminded him. She wasn't sure how the examination was going, so it would be better to go and check it out. Benjamin glanced at her, understanding her uneasiness about the situation. Without saying a word, he carried her over. "There's a wheelchair over there. Why don't you let me sit in it?" Orissa spotted a nearby wheelchair and tugged at his sleeve. Being carried around by him was drawing quite a bit of attention, which was rather embarrassing. With a gentle yet firm voice, Benjamin said, "Isn't it more comfortable for you when I hold you than sitting in a wheelchair?" Orissa looked at him and said, "No, not here with so many people watching. It's so embarrassing." Benjamin raised an eyebrow, his thin lips curling slightly. "She's feeling shy, huh?" He leaned in close to her, his face almost touching hers as he said, "If you're afraid of being seen, you can hide your face so no one can see you." Orissa was speechless. Seeing that he refused to get her a wheelchair, all she could do was bury her face in his chest. The 6 little ones followed closely behind them. When they arrived at the examination room, those few children had already finished their checkups. Sean was holding several reports and talking to a few parents. None of the children have suffered any bone injuries. They only have superficial wounds. They can come over for regular treatment, and they'll be fine in a few days. Several parents took a look at their children's x-rays. Beatrice also took her son's, her expression serious. Are you sure my son didn't break any bones? Just a superficial wound. If you're concerned, you can have him stay in the hospital for observation, Sean replied. Orissa asked Benjamin to put her down. She glanced at Beatrice, then turned to the other parents. I apologize, everyone, she said. My children may have been a bit too rough. If you're worried, feel free to stay in the hospital for observation. We'll cover all the expenses. No need to trouble yourself. Dr. Bailey has already said it's just a superficial wound. There's no need for hospitalization. We'll just go home and apply some medicine, someone said, and the other parents also expressed that there was no need for hospitalization. They bid farewell to Orissa and left with their children. Mrs. Graham, we're leaving now. Goodbye. All right. Goodbye. Orissa watched them leave. Beatrice watched as everyone else left. No one stood on her side. She felt a bit embarrassed and for a moment, she couldn't decide whether to stay in the hospital or leave. Mrs. Lord, shall I escort you to arrange for your son's hospital stay now? Sean asked Beatrice, his tone neither cold nor warm. Take him to get admitted to the hospital. We'll cover all the expenses. Benjamin glanced at the injured chubby boy and spoke to Sean in a deep voice. Michael clung to Beatrice's thigh, glaring at Gavin and his brothers. You guys hurt me. You have to pay for it. Zachary and the others rolled their eyes, wondering if this brat hadn't had enough of a beating yet. You accuse us, and we haven't even demanded compensation from you yet. Just because you're the mayor's son, do you think you can demand money from us at will? Jasper snapped. It wasn't me. You guys started hitting me first. Michael argued craftily. Kid, you insulted my children first. We didn't retaliate, nor did we demand an apology. Now, you're asking us for compensation. Is this your idea or your mother's? Orissa looked serious. Seeing Michael looking anxiously at Beatrice, she turned her gaze to Beatrice. Are you certain you want to claim compensation from us? If compensation is required, we will certainly not avoid our responsibility. We can also conduct a medical examination right here in the hospital to determine the amount. Meeting Orissa's distant gaze, Beatrice felt a burning sensation on her cheeks. But the anger in her heart was even more intense. Has Orissa disowned me as her mother? Isa, is there a need for such an attitude when you speak to me? Chapter 1444. What should my attitude be, Mrs. Lord? Orissa scoffed. Last time they met, Beatrice pretended not to recognize her. If that's the case, Orissa saw no reason to force herself upon her. Beatrice's face twisted. Are you blaming me for not taking you away back then? I don't blame you. Regarding the issue with the children, it was your son who insulted mine first. My children only retaliated after being insulted, and they have already apologized. Whether you accept it or not is up to you. Rest assured, we will cover any medical expenses incurred. If you don't accept this, feel free to appeal. Please, do as you see fit. Orissa shifted her gaze away, not wanting to dwell on these issues. She said to Sean, Mr. Bailey, please take them to the hospital for admission. Ensure they receive the best treatment. We will cover all the costs. No matter what, this child is the mayor's son, he cannot neglect him. Beatrice was quite upset. She hadn't expected Orissa to become so assertive. Where had the timid person she used to know gone? Ignoring Beatrice, Orissa turned to Benjamin and said, let's go home. All right. Benjamin gave Beatrice a cold glance, picked up Orissa, and left. The 6 children glanced at each other and quickly followed Benjamin, leaving only Beatrice and Sean behind. Mrs. Lord, I'll take you to the ward, Sean said to Beatrice. Beatrice glanced in the direction where Orissa and her family had left, then withdrew her gaze. Let's go. As Sean led them toward the inpatient department, Beatrice suddenly asked, are all those children Orissa's? They all look the same size, could they be multiples? Yes, Sean responded. Benjamin helped Arissa into the car, and the children climbed in by themselves. Their eyes were all fixed on Arissa, brimming with curiosity. Arissa noticed the children's gaze and raised an eyebrow. What would you like to ask? Mommy, do you know that woman? Zachary asked directly. After observing the kids for a moment, Arissa finally replied, that's my mother. All 6 children wore expressions of surprise, utterly astonished. So you're saying that child is your younger brother? Gavin couldn't believe it. Did we just beat up our uncle? Arissa didn't know how to explain. I guess so. The children noticed her low spirits and her strained relationship with Beatrice. They could guess that they were no longer close. Mommy, is that woman just like your awful father? Oliver frowned deeply. He didn't have a good impression of Beatrice, who had even wanted to hit them. Jasper and Jesse snorted. Mommy, that woman even wanted to hit us. Did she used to hit you too? Benjamin's heart ached for Arissa's past when he heard that. Arissa smiled at them and said, it's not that serious. I had a pretty good life when I was young. In the past, they were just a typical family. The most that would occur was a little squabble between Regan and Beatrice. However, as they both started their own families, she began to feel like an outsider. Mommy, we will protect you in the future, love you, and not let others bully you. Tim said with utmost seriousness. Gavin and the others nodded in unison. Mommy, we will protect you and love you forever. Arissa was deeply moved. She reached out to hug them. Thank you, sweethearts. Benjamin rested his chin on her shoulder as he softly said, I will protect you too. Arissa gazed at him, her eyes twinkling with mirth, a sweet happiness filling her heart. All right, Mommy, we won't like anyone who bullies you, Zachary said, furrowing his little brows. He wouldn't show a friendly face to Beatrice and Michael in the future. Sweetheart, you're so adorable. Arissa pinched his little face. Mommy, don't be upset because of these people. We will always love you. Zachary comforted her again. All right. I'm not sad. I'm not that weak. Arissa hugged them and gave them a kiss. Her heart felt warm. Her children were her greatest comfort. Chapter 1445. The family arrived home, with Benjamin carrying Arissa out of the car. The 6 little ones helped with the luggage, carefully following Benjamin and protecting Arissa. Daddy, be careful, hold Mommy properly. Gavin stared intently at Benjamin, afraid that he might drop Arissa. Benjamin glanced at him, his voice deep and stern as he said, don't block my way. Move aside. The 6 little ones stuck out their tongues and obediently moved to the side. Arissa looked at them with amusement. Benjamin carried Arissa to the couch and sat her down. The little ones were eager to help, some pouring her water, others massaging her shoulders, and some even massaging her legs. Mommy, have some snacks. Mommy, eat some fruit. Mommy, is this comfortable? Arissa was overjoyed. Yes, all she had to do was open her mouth, and the kids would feed her. She enjoyed it very much. Benjamin watched the lively scene, a soft smile playing on his lips. He gently reminded Arissa, don't play with the children for too long. Lie down for a while later. All right, go ahead with your work if you're busy. Arissa glanced at him, waved her hand, and then continued to play with the children. Benjamin turned around and went upstairs to change his clothes. Before attending to his business in the study, he first instructed the butler to prepare some food for Arissa. Sweethearts, let's try to solve things with words instead of resorting to actions in the future, okay? Arissa held the little ones close, reminding them once again. Understood, Mommy. We'll take good care of ourselves. The little ones said in unison. At that moment, Arissa's phone began to vibrate. Seeing that it was an unknown number, she immediately hung up. Unexpectedly, the call came through again the next second, so she had no choice but to answer it. Isa, why did you hit your mother's son? Regan's voice rang out. Arissa's lips quirked up. How did you find out? Your mother called to berate me. How could I not know? Regan was seething with anger. Why did you hit a child? If you want to know why don't you ask her directly instead of coming to question me? I have nothing to do with you anymore. Can you stop bothering me all the time? I'm just anxious, nothing more. Your mother is now the mayor's wife. You should be more considerate. Offending her won't do you any good. Regan suddenly started advising her, and Arissa could discern some sincerity in his words. No need for your concern. Just stop bothering me, Arissa said coldly. Without waiting for Regan's response, she hung up the phone and promptly blocked the number. Regan wanted to tell her about his mother, but when he tried to call back, he couldn't get through. He tried several different numbers, but Arissa didn't answer any of them. However, no matter how many times Arissa blocked a number, a new one would appear. Arissa was utterly exasperated. Mommy, let me get that for you. Zachary reached out toward Arissa, exuding an air of authority. Here, Arissa didn't want to hear Regan's voice. Zachary took her phone, answered the call, and put it to his ear. The voice of Regan came from the other end. Issa, I don't mean anything else. I was just nagging. Don't be up. Spit it out already. What do you want with my mommy? Zachary interrupted Regan's words. Regan paused for a moment, his voice unconsciously becoming gentler as he asked, Is that you, Zachary? I'm looking for your mommy. Is she nearby? Just tell me if there's anything. My mommy doesn't want to take your calls. Zachary said straightforwardly. Well, Regan hesitated for a moment. What's the use of talking to this little guy? All right, I'm going to hang up now if there's nothing else. Zachary huffed. Hold on. Don't hang up. Regan decided to get straight to the point. Chapter 1446. Zachary, please pass the phone to your mother. I need to talk to her about your great-grandmother. Regan said anxiously. Zachary furrowed his brow slightly. There's nothing to discuss about this matter. Don't bother my mother with your family issues. She has cut off all ties with all of you. Arissa looked at her son. She vaguely sensed that Regan had said something. After hanging up the phone, Zachary met Arissa's gaze and said to her, Regan mentioned something about his mother. Mom, you don't need to pay any attention to him. Arissa nodded, understanding that the capture of the old lady would surely make Regan anxious. Mom, did that old woman bully you again? Jasper stared intently at Arissa. Arissa glanced at them and said, After you left for school this morning, she came to our house. She came to our house. Gavin was shocked, a look of disgust on his small face. He didn't like Finley. Yeah, Arissa nodded. Tim grabbed her hand and asked anxiously, Mom, did she bully you again? Arissa reassured them with a smile, No, but I scolded her and had her sent to the police station. Oliver's eyes widened in surprise. He gave Arissa a thumbs up. Mom, that was a brilliant move. That's exactly how you should deal with such nasty people. You have to teach them a lesson. Exactly. Let's make sure she never dares to bully Mom again. Jasper said. Mom, why did you have her sent to the police station? Gavin felt there was more to the story. It couldn't just be because Arissa was bullied. He knew very well that Arissa wasn't that kind of person. The other party must have gone too far. Arissa glanced at the children and told them about what Finley had done here. Jesse exclaimed, Thief. Oliver said, If someone can't keep their hands clean, they deserve to be locked up and taught a lesson. Zachary said, Regan actually has the nerve to plead with Mom. Doesn't he feel ashamed to have such a mother? Jasper said, Exactly. Why did that old woman come looking for Mom here again? She really is persistent. Tim said, Mom, don't meet them when you're home alone in the future. It's very dangerous. Arissa patted their little heads. It was purely accidental that I let her in. With a serious expression, Gavin thought it necessary to print out photos of Regan's family and distribute them to the bodyguards. From then on, they should resolutely refuse entry to them. He ran off to the study. Gavin, where are you going? Arissa called out as she saw him suddenly run off. Mom, I'm going to the study to get something. Without looking back, Gavin ran off. Benjamin was in his study when he saw his son suddenly rush in looking all flustered. He raised an eyebrow in response. What's wrong? Daddy, I want to print something. Gavin went up to him, staring at the computer Benjamin had just switched on. Benjamin fixed his eyes on the little one. What do you want to print? A photo of Regan's family. Benjamin's eyes sparkled as he gently ruffled his son's hair. "What are you up to?" Gavin looked at him and said with indignation, "I want the bodyguards to remember their faces. They will never be allowed in our house again, and they definitely can't get close to Mom." Benjamin said softly, "I will send it to them in a bit. There's no need to print it out. Don't be upset. Go play with your mom for a while, and let her rest after 10 minutes. Okay, remember to send it," Gavin reminded him before turning around and rushing out. Benjamin's mouth curled slightly, swiftly concealing the tender emotions on his face. His demeanor shifted to a colder one as he tapped a few keys on the keyboard. In the next moment, everything appeared on the computer screen. With a flick of his finger, he promptly sent a message to his bodyguards. Chapter 1447. After the child hung up on Regan, he attempted to call back but was unable to get through. He went to the police station again, but this time, he couldn't even see his mother. Consequently, he had no choice but to turn back and drive to Yaleview. Orissa and the others were having dinner when Regan arrived, and he was stopped at the door. "Please inform Orissa that I am here. I am her father. You've cut ties with Mrs. Graham," the head of the bodyguards said coldly, shooing him away, "and, since she doesn't want to see you, leave and let us do our jobs in peace." Regan gazed at the main building of the mansion, where the lights were brightly lit, and the occasional laughter and playful noises of children could be heard. Regan furrowed his brows and let out a sigh. After surveying the area, he slumped into a seat beside the pond. "It's pointless for you to be here. Leave." The bodyguards at the door stepped forward to chase him away. Regan's expression hardened. "I won't leave until she sees me." The head of the bodyguards glared at Regan. He gestured for his men to stand their posts, leaving Regan to sit there as he pleased. Meanwhile, inside the house, Orissa was the center of attention that day. Everyone enthusiastically served her food. Darius and Mary were particularly pleased as they encouraged her to eat more foods that were beneficial for pregnant women. "From now on, you're not to lift a finger, Issa. Your main responsibility is to take good care of yourself and the baby." Darius was in high spirits due to the happy news. He had not stopped smiling since he found out that Orissa was pregnant with quadruplets. "That's right. You need to be cautious from now on. Pregnancy is not easy for a woman, let alone carrying quadruplets. It will be much more challenging for you than others. You need to watch your diet. Let me know if there's anything you crave, and I'll cook it for you," Mary said, her eyes crinkling with a smile as she expressed her concern and advice. "I understand, Dad, Grandaunt," Orissa replied with a smile to reassure the elderly. Darius chuckled heartily. His eyes were crinkled with delight. He served Orissa another generous portion and was so busy that he didn't have time to attend to the 6 children. "Eat more, Issa. You're eating for 5 now, you know. I don't mean to scare you, but the babies will only be healthy if you're healthy. You're the most important." The old man's concern was evident, and Orissa knew that it wasn't just for the sake of his grandchildren. She beamed. "Got it. Benjamin, you should avoid working too late from now on. Take care of Issa. It's especially important to keep a woman company during her pregnancy. As for those obligations, set them aside and let your subordinates handle them. Family is the most important." Darius turned to instruct Benjamin, his demeanor much more serious than when he was addressing Orissa. It gave Benjamin the impression that Orissa was the old man's biological child instead. "Understood. Hurry up and eat." Darius glanced at him, then turned to give Orissa a beaming smile, brimming with joy. Orissa found it amusing to see the old man grinning at her. "How can mommy relax and eat when you're staring at her like that, Grandpa?" Gavin gently reminded his grandfather. Darius chuckled heartily, teasing his grandson, "Are you feeling jealous because I didn't serve you food? Come on, there's plenty for everyone. You're all my favorites." Darius was affectionate toward his grandchildren, perhaps due to the special bond of being a generation apart. "I want some too, Grandpa." Jessie held her bowl. She looked adorable with her little mouth bulging with food. "Yes, we have enough for everyone." Darius was overjoyed. He hurriedly served the children. Seeing the elders happy improved Orissa's mood. After the meal, William approached Benjamin and whispered in his ear, Regan has been waiting at the door for over an hour. Mr. Graham. Even Peter can't get rid of him. Benjamin narrowed his eyes. So, Regan has shown up here. Let's ignore him, as we aren't leaving the house today. Regan can wait as long as he wants. William nodded. Very well. I'll inform them. Chapter 1448. After spending some time with them, Benjamin turned to his father. Why don't you stay here tonight, Dad? Don't go back. Spend more time with them. Darius' eyes lit up. He couldn't contain his joy. Great. I love it here. I hope you don't mind me being around. The corners of Benjamin's lips twitched. He leaned in to whisper to Orissa, I'm going to the study. Just give me a shout if you need me. All right, will do. Go about your business. Orissa responded with a smile, then continued to play with the children. After greeting the elders, Benjamin went to his study to work. The children played for a while before starting their homework. Orissa, Darius, Mary, and William gathered around them, offering guidance from time to time. It didn't take long for the children to finish their homework and start playing. They rode their bikes and played the piano, thoroughly enjoying themselves. The adults sipped tea on the side, basking in the lively atmosphere. Regan was still waiting at the door. Hearing the laughter coming from the house, he felt inexplicably lonely. The head of the bodyguards looked at him and advised, you should go back. Even if you wait here all night, you won't be able to see Mr. Graham and Mrs. Graham. Regan looked towards the villa and addressed the head of the bodyguards, will you please pass on a message for me? I really have something important to discuss with them. The head of the bodyguards scoffed. Are you referring to the matter concerning your mother? She committed a serious crime. It's not Mrs. Graham's fault. You should stop using your age as an excuse. You must face the consequences if you steal. Being lectured by someone much younger than him was more than Regan could bear. Mr. Graham said to let you wait since you like waiting here, and we are to leave you be. The head of the bodyguards couldn't stand it any longer. After all, Regan's presence there was a nuisance. Did Mr. Graham really say that? Regan looked at the head of the bodyguards doubtfully. They didn't seem ready to take action. The head of the bodyguards sneered. There's no reason to deceive you about this. If you think Mr. Graham would meet you, you can ask him yourself. Regan choked. If he could have, he would have done so already. Unfortunately, he couldn't find Benjamin at the office during the day, and his trip to Yaleview to see him had also ended in disappointment. Regan waited for a while longer, during which he stubbornly tried to call Orissa again. However, all the numbers had been blocked, making it impossible to get through. Recalling the child's WhatsApp details, he quickly made the call. Upon seeing Regan's video call, Zachary rolled his eyes and hung up decisively. A message from Regan came through. It read, answer the phone, Jesse. Granddad is right at your doorstep. Zachary narrowed his eyes. A look of disdain crossed his face. This Regan doesn't know when to give up, huh? He even came to our house. The child scoffed. He put his phone on silent mode, tossed it aside, and ran off to play. Regan tried calling again, but nobody answered. Left with no other options, he slunk away in defeat. Hey, he's gone, Jasper exclaimed excitedly, peering through the telescope. Gavin, Tim, Zachary, and Oliver were all nearby. Upon hearing Jasper's news, they gathered around to take a look. He's finally gone. Why is the York family so annoying, always coming to bother Mommy? Oliver grumbled. Do you think he'll come again tomorrow? Tim asked, furrowing his brow. The children exchanged glances, and Gavin, looking at his 4 younger siblings, came up with an idea. How about we mess with him? Zachary agreed with him at once. Sure, we need to make it a bigger problem so he won't have the time to bother. Mommy. After hatching a plan, the 5 children ran down the stairs and hurried back to their room. After locking the door from the inside, they got down to business. Chapter 1449. Orissa, Jesse, Darius, and Mary were downstairs, unaware of the whereabouts of the 5 children. Where have Gavin and the others gone? Darius suddenly realized that he hadn't seen his grandsons for a while. Orissa glanced upstairs and laughed. I think they just went upstairs. We're all here. Why are they going up there? Darius looked around, somewhat puzzled. I'll go check on them. Mary stood up and went upstairs to look for the 5 children. Are you tired, Issa? Should I have Benjamin carry you upstairs to rest? Darius asked, showing his concern for Orissa. Orissa shook her head gently. I'm not tired, Dad, she said softly. A little longer. Darius smiled, his eyes crinkling. Would you like some juice? He asked affectionately. I can make some for you. Orissa smiled at the old man's enthusiasm. Sure, hold on, I'll be right back. Darius dashed off enthusiastically to prepare the juice, with the butler following closely behind. What else would you like, Mommy? I can make it for you. Jessie asked in a soft and sweet voice, hugging her arm. Orissa affectionately pinched her daughter's cheek before planting a kiss on it. I'm not hungry yet. Why don't you bring some fruit to Daddy? She took a plate of fruit and handed it to the little girl, only to see her pouting, seemingly displeased. What's wrong? Orissa looked at Jessie with a twinkle in her eyes, noticing that something seemed off between the girl and Benjamin. Mr. Graham won't eat it if I bring it to him, Jessie said huffily. Why wouldn't he? Orissa stroked her daughter's hair. Your father will eat it if you bring it to him, she coaxed. He loves you the most. Not at all. He loves the boys the most. Jessie pouted in protest. Orissa caressed her head as she explained, haven't you noticed that Daddy only holds you and not the boys? He just doesn't know how to get along with you. But he loves you so much that he even asks me what you like all the time. The little girl looked at her, pondered for a moment, and said softly, but I haven't forgiven him yet. Orissa was amused. She took her daughter's hand. He's been good to me, hasn't he? He's been taking care of me at home every day recently, and he's been doing so well. Don't you think you should give him a reward? Otherwise, he would be so sad, wouldn't he? All right, I'll bring it to him. Jessie hopped down and, picking up the fruit, dashed off to the study. Orissa laughed. Slow down. Don't fall. Upon reaching the door to the study, the little girl peeked inside. She saw Benjamin on the phone on the balcony. Her eyes darted around. Carrying a plate of fruit, she tiptoed in, intending to leave as soon as she set it down. However, just as she approached the desk, Benjamin turned and saw his daughter tiptoeing in and setting something down. He immediately walked over. Reaching out with his long arm, he took the fruit platter from Jess's hand and placed it on the desk. Email it to me once it's done. He instructed the person on the other end of the line. Jessie looked at him coolly. Mommy said you have to finish this plate of fruit. Benjamin observed his daughter's cool and aloof demeanor, and a smile tugged at his lips. There's so much here. How about you help me finish it? He placed his hand on the little girl's head, stroking it tenderly. Jessie pouted. Mommy and I have already eaten quite a bit. You help yourself. Benjamin affectionately pinched his daughter's cheek, responding softly, all right. I'll finish it. After eating a few pieces, Benjamin noticed the little girl staring at him. More accurately, at the strawberries in his hand. He raised an eyebrow. He picked one up and held it to his daughter's lips. These strawberries are pretty good. Have one. Jessie looked at him. Won't there be any left for you if I do? She asked. Benjamin was inwardly delighted. There's plenty more. I can't eat that many. Seeing him bring it over, Jessie happily ate it. Chapter 1450. Delicious. Jess's eyes narrowed in delight, resembling a miniature version of Orissa and looking incredibly adorable. Benjamin bent down to pick her up and fed her the remaining strawberries. Is Mommy still in the living room? The little girl nodded, her voice soft and sweet as she replied, yes, Grandpa just asked Mommy if she was tired, but Mommy wants to play a little longer. Benjamin nodded, his gaze filled with affection as he watched his daughter eat. He took a napkin and gently wiped strawberry juice from the corner of her mouth. After feeding her a few more strawberries, Jessie hesitated. Are you really not going to eat any more, Mr. Graham? I'm done eating. You go ahead, Benjamin said gently as he gazed longingly at his daughter. Would you like to call me Daddy, Jessie? Jess's eyes widened with sudden realization. Did you feed me strawberries just to trick me into calling you Daddy, Mr. Graham? Benjamin's lips twitched. I'm your father. Isn't it normal to call me that? Besides, I know you like strawberries, that's why I fed you some. There's no hidden motive. Jessie glanced at him, her long eyelashes fluttering like a doll's. You know, she said slyly, this could lead to a misunderstanding. Benjamin was speechless. It's difficult to deceive a smart child. If you don't want to call me that, then don't. As a father, Benjamin felt a sense of loss deep down, but he knew he had to keep moving forward. Jessie shot him a glance, wanting to slide off. I'm going to look for the boys. They've all disappeared without a trace. Benjamin set her down. Where did they go? He asked. They went upstairs to check out that bad man, the little girl said, her voice filled with disdain. Benjamin was puzzled. What bad man? He asked. Jessie covered her mouth, realizing she had said too much. She spun around and dashed off. Benjamin narrowed his eyes, instantly thinking of Regan. Returning to his desk, he checked the surveillance at the entrance. There was no sign of either the man or his car. Upstairs, Mary arrived at the kid's door, only to find it locked from the inside. Gavin, Jessie, are you both inside? She called out at the door. The heads of the 5 children huddled in front of the computer immediately turned toward the door. Great-grandaunt is looking for us. The 5 children exchanged glances, then unanimously decided to have Tim open the door. Distract her. All right. Without any hesitation, Tim rushed to open the door. His small figure darted out, closing the door behind him as he left. Are you looking for us, great-grandaunt? Mary didn't even have time to see what was going on inside. She caressed the boy's head fondly. Your grandfather is asking you to come down and play. Let's go downstairs then. Tim took the initiative to grab Mary's hand and led her downstairs. I don't understand all that hacker stuff anyway. Mary hesitated for a moment. Aren't they coming down? They'll come down in a bit. They're just using the restroom. Tim responded loudly, ensuring that the other 4 in the room could hear him clearly. Mary didn't suspect a thing. She nodded and went down with Tim. Where are the others, Tim? Orissa casually asked when she saw that he was the only one who came down. They're going to the bathroom upstairs, Mommy. Tim reported with a grin, his innocent demeanor not raising any suspicions. Orissa nodded and beckoned him over. Coincidentally, Darius had prepared the juice and served them each a cup. Where are the rest? Why haven't they come down yet? Darius asked curiously, glancing at Tim. They'll be down in a moment. They're just using the bathroom. Tim said to Darius with a twinkling smile. You should have some juice too, Grandpa. Ah, the old man couldn't resist the boy's smile. His face was filled with affection. At that moment, Regan received a call from the company and was rushing to handle it. He was flustered and stressed. Keegan arrived back at the Lord residence late from work, only to find his wife and children nowhere in sight. His brow furrowed in worry. He called Beatrice and upon finding out they had been hospitalized, rushed to the hospital.